I just wanted to make a comment about Bob Dylan and his writing technique. For a period of time, he wrote in a certain way. So here's where I'm coming from. All these people talk about how Dylan was a genius and he was a genius lyrically, and and he wrote fantastic lyrics. But I feel that people have to acknowledge that for a period of time, he was using a certain technique on many of his songs, and it wasn't like this was all like rationally thought through, right? So he used Joni Mitchell described it as the black box method. So the idea was that it would be like taking writing individual words on different pieces of paper and throwing them in a black box and shaking it up and then randomly pulling them out and putting them together, right? So she kind of rolled her eyes about that approach. Um, so Joni recognized this, right? And then there's that Dylan. I remember he wrote about the time he wrote I think it was like a Rolling Stone. He talked about how he sat down at the typewriter and he went on for like 45 minutes just typing stream of consciousness. And he said it was like pages of, he called it vomit. And, and he said he managed to pull sentences out and write like a Rolling Stone, I believe, from that. So he's acknowledging there. It's like, like just throwing stuff out there and like picking things out and then trying to reshape it and make it a song, right? Um, and then John Lennon talked about this in that famous uh, video clip of him with Claudio, the mentally ill, he was schizophrenic guy, young guy who had flown over from the U.S. to England to meet with him, and he camped out on his property. And there's that famous film, like John Lennon said, "Hey, let's let's film us talking to him, right? He and Yoko Ono talking to this mentally ill kid, right? Um, so everyone could see how nice John was to people, right? So so John is talking to this kid, and the kid's talking about like a certain song. I forget what it was, but he said when you wrote this in the song, it seemed like you were talking about me. And John said, "How could I?" He said, that's all meaningless. It's just words." He said, "I'm just throwing words together and seeing if they fit, see if it works." You know, he says everyone does that. Dylan does that. So John Lennon was acknowledging that he was doing that at that time, and that he knew that Bob Dylan was doing that, just throwing words together to see if they worked. And he said sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Um, and then the fourth thing I want to mention is you can't be sure, like you can't get into someone's mind. But in that famous clip from '65, when Bob is in the hotel room with all these people and including Donovan, and Donovan plays that song, I'll sing a song for you. That's what I want to do. Just sing for you. And then Bob grabs the guitar and he plays a song, and Donovan asks him to sing "It's All Over Now, Baby Blue," right? So when Dylan's singing the line, he understands you're orphaned with his gun. He looks around and he's laughing. And you can't be sure, but I believe he's laughing at the absurdity of the lyrics, right? Like it's a joke, you know? Um, so anyhow, uh, I just want to lay that out there that, people have to get real and acknowledge like that. There was a period of time where that's what he was doing, and it produced some great stuff. But understand, like it's not like it was all completely rational and thought through, right? It wasn't like all pure like poetic writing. You know what I mean? Um, a lot of it was random.